Before Liu Yuning ever stood in front of a film camera, people had already decided who he was. Not a trained actor, not a graduate from a prestigious academy, not someone molded by the system. He came from the place Cbiz respects the least, the internet. He sang online, live-streamed, built an audience step by step without institutional backing. The very path that proved his resilience also became the label he could not shake: internet celebrity. In theory, popularity is supposed to be an advantage. In practice, where fame comes from matters. When popularity is born on the internet instead of inside the industry's traditional gatekeeping structures, it is seen as impure, as if it was earned in the wrong way. For many insiders, it did not matter how hard he worked or how sincere he was. It mattered that he did not start where they started. The label traveled ahead of him into every room. When he appeared, audiences did not ask, "What can he do?" They asked, "Isn't he just a live stream singer?" That just carried weight. It turned effort into suspicion and success into controversy. Every achievement was followed by a quiet asterisk. Yes, but he is still from the internet. Cbiz has many invisible hierarchies, and Liu Yuning entered through the door with the lowest status, the one that requires proof again and again, long after others would have been believed. This was the paradox from the beginning. He had attention, he had an audience, he had a voice that people recognized, but none of that automatically translated into recognition as an actor. Before he could be judged for his roles, he had to fight something far more persistent, a definition of who people thought he was allowed to be. Liu Yuning did not rise through awards ceremonies or elite repertory theaters. His ascent happened in the most democratic, least respected arena: live stream platforms and online music. He sang covers, interacted with viewers in real time, built loyalty not through marketing teams but through long nights in front of a screen. The numbers grew first: followers, views, comments, fan communities. In any other industry, this would simply be called success. In Cbiz, it became a problem of origin. The entertainment system prefers fame that travels through approved channels. Talent shows backed by networks, acting academies with lineage, agencies with deep connections. Liu Yuning's popularity arrived without those signatures, and so it was treated as suspicious. To many industry observers, he was not a performer who had earned a crowd. He was an internet product. That phrase sounds neutral, but it carries a message. Not serious, not professional, not one of us. This created a strange contradiction. The market loved him because people watched him. The industry resisted him because people had discovered him on their own. Producers saw traffic potential, traditionalists saw a threat to hierarchy. Online audiences said, "He is relatable." Critics said, "He is only popular because of the internet." The same fact, a massive digital following, became both his greatest asset and his heaviest burden. For Liu Yuning, popularity did not open doors automatically. It opened them halfway and then asked him to justify walking through. Every opportunity came with an unstated test. Prove that you are not just what the internet made you. Prove that you deserve a space in an industry that did not build you. In Cbiz, visibility is not the same as legitimacy, and he learned that difference early. When Liu Yuning stepped from microphone to camera, he was not only changing mediums, he was crossing an invisible border. Singing online is tolerated. Becoming an actor from that starting point is what triggers resistance. His first roles were not grand leads carved for prestige. They were supporting characters, second-line roles, figures that circle the center without being allowed to occupy. This was not accidental. It was a probation period disguised as opportunity. From the beginning, every performance carried an extra layer of examination. Other newcomers are asked, "Are they promising?" Liu Yuning was asked, "Does he deserve to be here at all?" His lack of academy training was repeated like a verdict. Comment sections framed him not as an actor learning to grow, but as an internet celebrity trying acting for exposure. Effort was not read as dedication. It was read as ambition encroaching on a territory that did not belong to him. He did not arrive with technique shaped by professors, but he arrived with something the audience immediately recognized: persistence. He accepted roles that required endurance, long shoots, ensemble casts, emotionally restrained characters. But the narrative around him remained the same. When he performed well, people said, "Surprisingly good for an internet celebrity." When he struggled, they said, "See? This is why internet celebrities should not act." In both directions, the label swallowed the man. Crossing into acting should have given him a fresh identity. Instead, it came with a shadow that followed him through each project. Scripts were offered, but not always respect. Colleagues collaborated, but not always recognition. He was working inside the industry while still being considered outside of it. In one sense, he was already there. In another, he was still knocking. Every industry has rules it will not write down. In C-biz, one of them is simple: pedigree matters. Actors from famous academies, backed by powerful agencies, mentored by established directors, are given the benefit of the doubt. Those without such backgrounds start lower, climb slower, and are asked to prove more. Liu Yuning collided with this wall repeatedly. It was not made of open hostility. It was made of quiet exclusion. Roles that required serious acting were often reserved for people with the right resumes, not necessarily the right performances. Prejudice did not always speak loudly. Sometimes it appeared in casting rumors. "He's not professionally trained." Sometimes it lived in reviews, internet celebrity performance style. Sometimes it was buried inside compliments that bent into limitation. Good, considering where he came from. The message was consistent. Improvement would be acknowledged, but identity would not be rewritten. His origin story was treated as a ceiling. Online, the discourse was sharper. Forums and comment sections asked whether someone who built fame through live streams had the right to call himself an actor. Each project became a referendum on his legitimacy. Audiences were not only judging a character, they were voting on whether he should belong in the profession at all. For many performers, criticism is about a role. For Liu Yuning, criticism was about existence inside the industry. Yet prejudice does something else too. It forces clarity. It made obvious the line between public acceptance and professional acceptance, between popularity and recognition. He learned that applause from audiences and acknowledgement from the industry are not the same currency. One fills seats, the other grants status. And while he had plenty of the first, the second remained deliberately scarce. The wall did not break when he knocked on it. It did not move when he pushed. It simply observed him and waited to see whether he would walk away. He did not. He kept working, which leads to the next question. What happens when hard work alone still is not enough? The answer, in his case, was simple but not comforting. You keep working anyway. Liu Yuning did what the industry said he lacked. He treated acting as a craft, not as an accessory to fame. He took on more roles, accepted physically demanding shoots, embraced characters that were not designed to be instantly likable. Off-set, he continued singing, recording OSTs, building a portfolio that stretched across music and television instead of relying on short-term popularity alone. By any objective standard, this is what professionalism looks like. But Cbiz is not an objective system. It is a hierarchy of perception. Hard work improves skill, yet it does not automatically rewrite narrative. Even as his performances grew steadier and his emotional control improved, many evaluations still began with the same preface. For someone from the internet, that phrase functioned like a chain. No matter how far he traveled, it kept tying him back to the starting line. There is also the cost of speed. Because he works so much, his progress is made in public. Every mistake is archived. Every uneven scene is replayed. Actors protected by elite institutions often make their errors offstage in classrooms and workshops. Liu Yuning made his on-screen, under scrutiny, inside projects that were already being judged. Growth happened, but it happened visibly, and visibility attracts criticism faster than it attracts patience. Over time, the gap between audience reception and industry recognition became clear. Viewers connected with his sincerity, his grounded demeanor, the sense that he had earned what he had rather than inherited it. Yet institutional endorsement, prestigious casting, awards recognition, unquestioned legitimacy, arrived. Far more slowly, as if the system itself needed extra time to decide whether someone like him was allowed to succeed. His story raises a difficult truth. In Cbiz, talent and effort are necessary, but sometimes they are not sufficient. Origin, networks, and timing still shape destiny. Liu Yuning has done what the industry asks of actors, to persist, to improve, to endure, and still finds himself answering the same old question. Does hard work ever outweigh where you came from? The final question in Liu Yuning's story is not about whether he is talented. It is about whether the industry is willing to change its mind. Public opinion has already shifted, at least in part. Many viewers now see past the label and focus on the performances. They recognize the consistency, the restraint, the emotional honesty he brings to his roles. They hear his voice in dramas. They follow his projects, and they treat him as a working actor because that is what he is. But institutions move slower than audiences. Cbiz has a long memory for origins and a short memory for growth. Once someone is categorized, the category tends to stay. Internet celebrity turned actor is a sentence that keeps following him, even when actor who started on the internet would be more accurate. One phrasing is diminishment. The other is context. The difference matters, and it is still being negotiated in real time. The future of Liu Yuning's career will likely depend on two forces: the roles he chooses and the risks others are willing to take on him. If directors cast him not as an experiment but as a lead defined by character rather than by origin story, the narrative will shift. If the industry continues to treat him as a guest from another world, it will not. His ability is no longer the central uncertainty. The system's willingness to accept an outsider is. So the story ends not with closure, but with an unresolved possibility. Will he be remembered as an internet celebrity who tried acting, or as an actor who happened to come from the internet and forced Cbiz to reconsider what legitimacy looks like? The answer has not been written yet, and that, perhaps, is the clearest sign of progress. For the first time, the label is not the whole story.